more information, call 256-767-1868. Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, where the motto is #winning.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-683-6488. 800-683-6488.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-683-6488. 800-683-6488. 800-683-6488.
Auto Accident Help Desk.
The music muscle of the show's 105.1 FM, the best mix of R&B.
The song. This is Susan Bentley, Women's Health Nurse Practitioner at Options Wellness in Muscle Shoals. We have partnered with Knox Media Group to bring you the real world of women with Susan Bentley. As promised today, we are going to talk more about some sex. Last week we talked about problems that caused sex not to be such a fun thing. But today we're going to talk about things that can enhance your sexual experience. And we'll get started as usual. You are welcome to send your questions in and we will answer those. I'll be backtracking a little bit to talk about some of the things we've talked about in the past so that you can put it all together and have a great sexual experience. So remember, at this point in life, sex is the icing on the cake, and we want that icing to be sweet as sugar. So let's get started. The first thing to have a really enjoyable sexual experience is the mood. Sometimes you are just not in the mood. You've been working crazy hours, your family is really requiring a lot of your attention, you've got people pulling at you from all sides, and the last thing you want to do when you lay down at night is to feel sexy and have a good romantic experience. You want to go to sleep. You must be rested, ladies, and I know that is easier to say than do. If you are tired, your body is not going to produce the chemicals needed to enjoy sex. So you've got to get some rest. And if you're not feeling in the mood, talk with your partner. Be honest and open. Say, honey, you know, the kids, I've had to do this, I've had to do that, I've had to run the house, I've had to manage the job. I just don't feel good tonight. Can we just snuggle? And there's been many studies that show women love to snuggle and cuddle as much as the actual sexual experience. So guys, if you're listening, keep that in mind. Sometimes if you're just wanting to make your woman happy, hug her, snuggle her, cuddle up against her, and she will just fall right off to sleep in your strong arms and be happy as a bug. So again, I cannot overstate the importance of rest. That's why vacations, you go on vacation, you've been trying to get pregnant, make a baby, it hadn't happened. You know, you go on vacation, you're relaxed, you're enjoying your sexual experiences, then you come back pregnant. I see that happen very often. There's a reason for that. Again, it is the chemical makeup of the body that sometimes if you're tired, things just shut off and it's not happening. So get you some rest and enjoy things. Even if you have to ship the kids off to the grandparents or to a friend, do what it takes, because nothing is more important than your partner and y'all's relationship, other of course than the Lord. Now, second thing we'll talk about is you've got to have a good hormone balance to enjoy a sexual relationship. We talked about hormones a few weeks back, but let me tell you, sometimes you just cannot get in the mood, and that is usually a hormonal thing. Now, do you have to be menopausal to have a poor hormone balance? No, you don't. Testosterone is the hormone in women that helps with a good sexual response. What can run down your testosterone level? Well, stress, burning the candle at all ends, illness, a number of things. Stress is the main one. But when you don't have an adequate testosterone level, your sexual response is not going to be as good as it could be. Your desire is not going to be what it should be. Now, in medicine, when you come in with these problems, if there is an insurance code assigned to the problem, you know that it's real. I always laugh and say if Blue Cross recognizes it a problem, it's a problem. And there is a insurance code for poor sexual response or diminished libido. How can you get that testosterone level up? Well, I'm not a big proponent of pumping a woman full of stuff that she might not need. Again, rest will bring your testosterone up naturally. Exercise, aerobic exercise will bring your testosterone level up. If it's possible, it's a great idea for you and your partner to exercise together. You might be surprised at how you feel more stimulated and in the mood to have a sexual encounter after a good workout session. But testosterone is the sex drive hormone. A normal level, if you go and ask, now if you go in your doctor's office and you say, would you please check my hormones? They're going to say, well, are you having a regular period? And if you say yes, they're going to say, well, your hormones are fine. Most providers think of hormones as estrogen, and that is what they're taught in school, unless you go into a specialty. My specialty is hormone balance and hormone management. And we know that women are not just made up of estrogen. We have estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. Now, if you are having a regular period, your estrogen level is probably fine. If you are sleeping well, your progesterone level is probably fine. But if you're very, very busy and you just can't get in the mood, your testosterone level is probably low. So don't be shy about asking, would you test my testosterone level? Ideally, it should be somewhere between 45 and 75. It can go all the way up to 300, but let me warn you, too much testosterone can have a similar effect as not enough. So when you go in and you say, well, I'm not feeling in the mood much, my libido is low, they give you some testosterone, it gets a little bit better, but you're still running crazy and not getting enough rest. Well, let's give you a little bit more, and it still doesn't improve. All you're getting is oily skin and acne. So just because a little is good, a lot is not better. Your husband may be using testosterone for some of his health issues, and he says, well, here, I'll give you some of mine. Don't do that. Don't do that, because it's not the same dose. A woman would get somewhere around 100 milligrams of testosterone every 4 to 6 weeks. A man gets 200 milligrams every week. So too much testosterone in a woman is going to give you oily skin, acne. It can make your hair come out, and you can start getting little hairs in places that you don't want hairs. You know, beards and mustaches look good on the men folk, but they don't look so good on us women folk. So do not self-treat. Testosterone is considered a controlled substance. It is a steroid hormone. And so you can't just go buy it over the counter. There are some supplements in some of the stores I say that it'll increase your testosterone level. I advise against those. Testosterone is something that must be monitored carefully. If you get too much testosterone, you can start making too many red blood cells. Then they start getting sticky, and you throw a clot, and you could die. Many of the athletes that use testosterone unchecked, that get it off the street or from a source that's not a medical source, end up dropping dead, and everybody's like, well, gosh, he was in the best of health. What happened? Yeah, well, he threw a blood clot and died. So testosterone use must be monitored carefully. It's a wonderful hormone to help enhance your sexual response, but you cannot give it unchecked. Again, a little's good, a lot's not better. Estrogen, now for you women who are no longer having periods and have reached that menopausal stage of life, estrogen can certainly affect your sexual experience. Menopause, let me say, is nothing to be feared. It is just a change of life you don't have to worry about pregnancy anymore. You can enjoy sex without that worry. But if your estrogen level is low, you begin to have things happen such as vaginal dryness. And if the vagina is dry, those tissues no longer stretch, and they're very easily infected with bacteria. And you hurt when you have sex. So you must have a good estrogen effect to your vagina. Well, you say, I don't want to use hormones. I can't use hormones because I've had breast cancer, or because I have a history of liver disease, or I've had blood clots before. So what happens to me? Is there any hope? Yes, there is. I work with a compound pharmacy who can create pretty much what we can dream up. And we've come up with a vaginal lubricant, a vaginal gel, that has no hormone in it. You just apply it to the vaginal tissues twice a week, and it keeps those tissues nice and moist. And they stretch, and sex again becomes fun again. Now, you've got to have a good clitoral response. Now, if you're not sure what the clitoris is, in a woman's genitalia, right between the vaginal lips, up at the top, is this little grouping of tissue called the clitoris. And that's where most of the nerve endings are. That must be stimulated to have a nice orgasm. Now, how can you stimulate it? Well, oral sex is one way. Different positioning in sexual activity is another way. The compound pharmacy does work with us to produce a cream. It has a big, long medical name, but we call it Scream Cream. And you massage it onto the clitoris about 10-15 minutes before sexual activity, and that will help you have a really satisfying orgasm. Now, about 20% of women prefer a vaginal orgasm, and they have a little spot inside the vagina. If you go inside the vagina and up, there's a little group of tissue called the G-spot. And that can be manually massaged. It can be massaged with sexual activity. It's different ways. Vibrators can be used to vibrate, to stimulate the G-spot. And some women enjoy that type of orgasm. Some people will use a vibrator on the clitoral area during sexual activity to enhance things even further. And that is great. You can do that. Let me warn you, when you're using vibrators or dildos or sex toys or bullets or whatever you want to use, make sure they are not latex. Now, you can go to the sex stores and you can buy all kind of little gadgets, and many of them aren't terribly expensive, but they are made from latex. Many women's vaginas are not happy being exposed to latex. It causes a burning raw sensation, and it just doesn't feel good. So make sure that whatever device you are using is not latex based. Latex condoms sometimes will cause irritation. So you can get one made out of, it's called a lambskin condom, and they're much more pleasurable to the woman because you don't have that burning sensation. The Options Wellness, where I am based, we have a line of devices made out of medical grade silicone. We have one for the clitoral orgasm, and we have one for the vaginal orgasm. And again, they're both medical grade silicone, so you don't have to worry about that problem with latex incompatibility there. So make sure that you know how to have sex. I was surprised after years and years of women coming into my office for consults, and they said, I have never had an orgasm. I don't know how. I don't know what it's like. What can I do? So then we talk about anatomy. You've got to have right positioning. And sometimes men are just not super well endowed. A small penis sometimes it's difficult to have an orgasm with, a clitoral orgasm. So that's when some of the other devices might help. Now, there's certainly nothing wrong with a man who comes in different sizes. You just learn to adapt. Humans are creative, and they have to learn what works best for them. Sometimes it's better if the man is on the top and the woman's on the bottom in the traditional missionary position. But sometimes that's not the best way. Sometimes the knee-chest position for the female is better because you have deeper penetration. And so just, be honest with your partner. That doesn't feel good. Oh, I really like that. Experiment and keep it hopping, where you'll have fun. Sex should be fun, regardless of what what we were taught in the past. You have sex to make babies, and that's pretty much it. No, and now that's not really the thought process. So positioning is another thing. Let me warn you against some of the perfumed things. Vaginas were not meant to taste like strawberries or chocolate or whipped cream. So when you fill your vagina with some of these products, you're probably going to come see me the next couple of mornings with an infection or an irritation or an allergic reaction. A vagina is kind of like a self-cleaning oven. It has little glands on either side called the Bartholin gland, and the purpose of those glands is to secrete a mucus that number one, keeps the vagina moist, but it also carries bacteria away. So sometimes those glands will get stopped up, and you can get a huge cyst in them. Very painful. Usually when a woman walks in the office, I can tell the way she's walking what the problem is going to be. So you want to make sure that that's not painful. The vagina should never itch, burn, or have a bad odor. If it has one of those three things, you better come see me or see your provider, because you probably have a bacterial infection, a yeast infection. Something's not right. You should not have pain with sex. Now, let me tell you this, ladies, sometimes different positions don't feel as good as others. So you just shift around until something feels good. But why does it not feel good? Well, when you go into the vagina, the first thing you're going to run into is the uterus. The cervix is the mouth of the uterus. Now, if I took 10 women and lined them up and did pelvic exams on them, 7 of those women, the uterus would tilt to the front. 3 of those 10 women, the uterus would tilt to the back. It's called a retroflexed or a tilted uterus. And sometimes with deep penetration, the penis will bump against the head of the what we call the body of the uterus, and it doesn't feel that great. It's not going to hurt your uterus, but you probably want to shift positions. Usually the knee-chest position feels a little bit better for women who have a tilted uterus, because it lifts that organ out of the way. Sometimes your partner may say, I feel like I'm hitting something in there. Well, he probably is. You know, the cervix, if you've had a number of children, if you work on your feet, standing on concrete all day, that uterus can literally drop down. It's held in place by ligaments in your pelvis, and sometimes those ligaments get stretched or strained, and just the pressure of being on your feet all day, moving heavy furniture. Most of us women, when we want the couch moved, we move the couch. We don't wait for somebody to come help us. And the female body is just not made to do heavy lifting. So you have to employ certain techniques for that. But if he keeps telling you, I'm hitting something in there, and you're not sure what it is, have a pelvic exam. Your provider can readily tell you what he's hitting. Now, for you women who use IUDs for birth control, intrauterine devices, you know, there's a little thread that is, the device goes up inside the uterus, and there's a little thread that extends from the cervix, and it curls up in there. And it's a little wire type item. And sometimes with sexual activity.
Dr. Bentley,
Yes,
let me
sir.
tell you something. You're doing such a great job. They got a whole conversation going on in the other room. And I think people on the radio need to hear this. Come on, ask your question, Mom.
All right, well, we'll hold up here.
Did you say that men with small penises, they can't make a woman have an orgasm?
Well, they can make an orgasm. They can certainly have a satisfactory orgasm, but sometimes if the penis is small, and some men are unusually small, you have to be creative to stimulate the G-spot, to get pressure on the clitoris, but it's possible. It's very possible.
And all I said was that I guess it's considered as a micro penis.
Okay.
So
and there is such. A micro penis is a penis that's very unusually small.
And then some women have a large
Vagina, they have a large clitoris, especially if they're using testosterone for a long period of time.
So is that like the same thing?
A micro penis is going to take a little more work on the man's part.
So you know the women with the large clitoris.
Because the clitoris is usually small. Or certain genetics, or some a little bit. In utero, when you're in the mother's womb, there comes a point in time that your gender is identified, and you either the female version of a small penis.
I thought so.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, no question is off the table here, so feel free to ask anything on that. But yeah, if you have a larger clitoris, and I see that often when women have been on high-dose testosterone therapy for a while, there are some genetic problems. There are some endocrine problems that can cause that also. So, you know, you're not weird or strange if you have. It's manageable. Like I say, you just have to employ some creativity sometime with that. Now, for you guys out there listening, if your penis is not as big as you want it to be, don't spend money on male enhancements. Sometimes they're not safe, and I haven't really seen that they've worked a whole lot. Now, keep in mind, I've been in this business about 50 years, and I've pretty much seen and heard it all. You know, I've had, I've heard all kinds of things that I'll spare you all the gory details on, things to try to enhance the penis. Please don't tie anything around it, constrict it, because the blood flow to the penis is what causes the erection. And if you restrict that blood flow, you can cause some tissue damage. So some of the devices, they just aren't safe. And of course, we don't have an Food and Drug Administration to look at all these things. And so keep your safety in mind. If something is not working and you think, well, let me try this, ask. somebody that knows what it is. You know, we don't come with instruction books, and you try things sometimes. You rub stuff on yourself, and it just doesn't work. I used to work at one of the local colleges in their infirmary, and the football team got in trouble with pubic lice. Well, somebody told them if they poured gasoline on their genitals, it would kill the lice. Well, I ended up with a infirmary full of football players holding their genitals because the gasoline probably did kill the lice, but it killed a lot of their skin too. So, you know, do not use a lot of home remedies for that. I've had horror stories, so I just will leave it at that right there. Now, I forgot where we were after that question right there, but we'll get going again, and maybe it'll come back to me on that. But if you do have questions, please let me know. Our time has slipped away this morning. We have about 5 minutes left, and I'll just recap. A good sexual experience, you've got to have good rest, you've got to have balanced hormones, you've got to have an interactive relationship. A lot of women say, oh, I just lay there and let him get it over with. Don't do that. I mean, you might as well cut your losses and move along if that's all that's happening. You need it to be an interactive relationship there so that you can both enjoy it. Sex should be enjoyable. It's not just a duty, as many times in the old days girls were told, well, it's your female duty. You know, I remember my mother, who was your typical Southern Belle preacher's wife. My father was a Church of Christ minister for all his career, and she was just the typical preacher's wife. And she always told my sister and I, you better take care of your man or some other woman will. And that always stayed with me. I thought, even back in the day, Mama knew what she was talking about there. So you've got to have, that's just a part of the relationship. Now, I'm not going to say it's all the relationship, because many times there are situations, health situations, where sexual activity is not possible, it's not feasible, and you still have a wonderful relationship. That's cool. But if you are both sexually active, enjoy the experience. Let it be something that you look forward to. Don't look at it as something you dread. If you're dreading it, come see me, or go see your healthcare provider and find out what the issue is. Now, before we move on and close out the program, I do want to say this is a program for adults and women. Men are also welcome to come. But if you are involved in women's activities, if you have products that could help women or promote women's health or promote a good life for women, let us know. You may want to consider advertising with us on The Real World of Women. And to do that, you can contact Miss Tamika Tubbs here at the station, who will work with you on a very affordable budget. And that way I can talk about your product and bring information to women who want to hear about it. The radio station here has a wide reach. There's over 1 million clicks per week on the Knox Media website. So if you have a product, let us all know about it, and let us talk about it, and let us get your information out to women so that they can get in touch with you and purchase your product. Advertising to women is a very useful tool. I always enjoy talking with you. Your questions are welcome. If you have a topic that you would like for me to discuss more in depth, simply let us know. You can contact Ms. Tubbs here at the station. You can send me an email or private message on social media. But we want to bring you information that you want to hear. I usually am talking about things that I've heard in the clinic. I figure if 1 or 2 women ask, 5 or 6 want to know. So that's where my topics come from. Next week, I think we'll talk about the vagina, having a happy vagina. Vaginas are really special parts of our body, but there are a lot of things that can aggravate it. And an unhappy vagina means an unhappy woman. So we're going to talk more in detail about that next week. I really appreciate you listening. I look forward to talking with you again next week. Again, if you would like to advertise with us where I can talk about your product online, please contact Ms. Tamika Tubbs here at the station. I thank you for your attention and have a wonderful week and enjoy Easter. Thank you.